Hi there, YouTube. We are talking about fascists. I got a whole segment here. Fascist update, fascist alert, fash time. It's time to talk about fascists and their attempt to dismantle democracy in the United States. But I mean, not just the United States. We see similar MAGA tactics in Canada. You got the UK over there, boy, really magging it up with that Brexit situation. And you want to talk about the biggest similarity between the UK and the United States? It's that the Tory party has realized the same thing that the right-wing Republican Party in the United States has realized, is that you can take advantage of democracy by just ignoring some of the kind of like unwritten rules and just refusing to accept reality while paying billions of dollars so that you have a whole media bubble that people can run to, right? So that, that are constantly reinforcing your fake reality. If you have all those pieces in place, you actually don't need to apologize anymore for your actions. And it has completely flipped the switch. Neoliberals are really don't really understand how to fight this correctly. They want a status quo where both sides pretend to hate each other while their money masters get ahead. So anyway, it's a threat to democracy. What I'm trying to say is that this right-wing MAGA template is a threat to democracy across the world. But specifically in the United States, I don't think we should live in a world where the United States, as powerful as it is, where Republicans are basically impossible to vote out of office, right? Functionally destroying democracy. It will all technically still exist, right? All the Constitution will still be there. They're not going to go in there and light it up. But none of it will really matter. That's what they're trying to set up legally. That's what they're trying to create here. Trump is a serious threat to the Union of American States, and it can't be made more clear. Big props to Woke Patriot for this link, I believe. Thank you, Woke Patriot. Corwin Chelway, when fascism comes to America, it will be holding a Bible and waving the flag. Trump will never Sieg Heil. Trump will never wear a red armband. And yet, he is still extremely fascist. Standing in front of the Capitol building in Washington on March 4th, 1865, then President Abraham Lincoln stirred to the hearts of his audience, declaring America should have, quote, malice towards none and charity for all. It was Lincoln's second inaugural address, and he was determined to heal a divided nation just weeks away from the formal end of its bloody Civil War, setting out his aim to, quote, achieve and cherish a just and lasting peace amongst ourselves and with all nations, among ourselves. But this magnificent and evocative speech, as well as the actions of one of America's greatest Republicans, now stands in brutal contrast to the words and deeds of another Republican, former United States President Donald J. Trump. I mean, I agree with the criticism. The traitors, the Confederacy, should have been treated much more harshly. And I'm not talking about violence and torture and brutality, but I'm talking these people should have gone to jail. All the generals and the leaders and the politicians that agreed with it should have gone to jail. They shouldn't, there shouldn't have been a we just need to heal and look forward mentality with these traitors to the Union. Trump is focused on his own glory, on his own interests, not the nation's. He hurls grapes of wrath around the country. Interesting. And his real menace was finally brought home in the report by the bipartisan Congressional Inquiry Committee on the January 6th insurrection, run by Republicans, by the way. When the U.S. Congress was besieged and Trump's stolen election conspiracy morphed into a de facto coup attempt with criminal intent to overturn the votes in 7 states. This is a fact. Do not believe the gaslighters. This is a fact. Trump planned and implemented a coup. It was a planned and implemented insurrection. We watched it live on this stream. Thus, it's a relief that arch conspirator Trump is now being brought to court by special counsel Jack Smith. Guy's interesting, this Jack Smith guy. I don't know if I like him yet. Let me see some teeth. But it's hardly misplaced to still harbor fears, because you know what I've seen with Jack Smith? A lot of theatrics. Oh, he doesn't speak so much. He doesn't do a lot of speeches. Oh, but what he has said is very, he's doing all these things. Let me see the motherfucking, let me see this shit. There's like 75, 76 different things they could nail Trump for. You gonna get him on anything? You gonna get him on anything? Jack? Trump seems a dark throwback to the 19th century when the American Civil War erupted because men like John C. Calhoun, Nathan B. Forrest, and Jefferson Davis wanted their truth to be victorious. The result, a bloody secession. Trump now similarly wants his truth to be victorious. And while that hopefully doesn't mean an actual civil war, the U.S. is in the middle of a disorienting culture civil war, 100%. In states and cities and within families, there is extreme divisiveness. People are either for or against Trump for good reason. One can see the clear and present danger playing out on social media and is left wondering where it will end. It's also becoming increasingly difficult not to conclude that Trump is a serious threat to the preservation of the Union of American States. And let me tell you, that is not hyperbolic. That is not, this is why I am doing this. This is why I'm sitting here. This is why I do this at least every Saturday and 3 or 4 streams during the week. You think I'm getting paid? I ain't getting paid, dog. I'm doing this shit because this is really happening, and it's going to affect you, me, my kids, everyone. You don't want to live under this tyranny. And we shouldn't have to experience it to know that. Welcome back, Clutch Cargo. To be open, I'm not in favor of current President Joe Biden either. I find it almost impossible to understand why the Democrats have decided to back this elderly man as their presidential nominee. God damn it. No offense to the wiser members of my audience. And why it isn't possible for both the Republicans and Democrats to put forward candidates at least younger than 70 years old. Oh! Moreover, the burning question for those of us across the Atlantic is, what can and should we do in Europe given these worrying developments? Oh, yeah, delicious. For one, we need to understand that a year out from a presidential election, Europe's relationship with the U.S. always becomes tricky, and this election season is likely to become much more so than usual. The country and government will be focused on itself, and Europe shouldn't expect too much until the next president's inauguration in January 2025. Having said that, however, the transatlantic relationship is crucial. The U.S. is our principal ally, and developments there affect us. So what else can we do in the year leading up to Election Day? Yeah. Okay, well, this is okay. I love articles like this, right? I love articles like this, right? There's a real problem. Bing, 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 bing. Chaos. What can we do? I don't know. This just ends like, well, got to figure it out, bud. We need to be impressing upon Americans whenever and wherever we can that we fear for their union. Sure. Europe should also determinedly hold on to its own goals and remain united as it defines its own direction. That means sticking together to help Ukraine and realizing that our main adversary lives in the Kremlin. Our main geopolitical adversary, maybe. The biggest adversary society is facing is the conservative elements in every country attacking and attempting to dismantle democracy at the behest of a massive, uncontrollable oligarchy, global oligarchy. That's kind of the biggest problem. No offense to Ukrainians. I mean, if you're a Ukrainian, this is the biggest problem. I'm just saying, if we hope to fix our problems abroad and geopolitically, we better fix our problems here at home. It's got to start at home. You don't want Trump. You don't want DeSantis. You don't want fucking Cruz running our nation, making decisions geopolitically. Additionally, it's not like the neoliberals are much better because they just basically cede all control to the military-industrial complex. They just literally, whatever you want, Mr. General. It's literally that. Whatever you want, Mr. Policeman. Additionally, we need to assist our own citizens in weathering the coming winter by ensuring there's sufficient and affordable energy. Yeah, true. Yeah, good luck, Texas. But let us not fall into the same web of division and hatred that Trump spins to entrap Americans. This time, let justice prevail and let there be a just and lasting peace. Okay. Stop the madness, okay? Wrong. You know what needs to happen? You need to get your shit in order and be ready to fight. Okay? You need to follow my 3-step motherfucking program. It is this simple to create political change. Fuck these limp-wristed limp dicks, okay? Fuck these people at Politico. They don't know how to fight, because you know how you make real political change? Step 1, you inform yourself. Step 2, you join a progressive political organization in your area, maybe a union, maybe you run for office, right? But you join something. You sign up. And step 3, you put in the motherfucking work. You put in the motherfucking work, because you got to remember, every hour you're putting in, there's a dozen fascists putting in too. Steve Bannon and his goddamn minions are doing everything in their power to change your life. Let justice prevail. Go watch another season of West Wing, you son of a bitch, because you know what really makes political change? Nonviolent, direct political action. Of course you're voting, but that's the bottom of the barrel, man. You got to get up there and stand up. I'm sorry, Peter Van Dalen. I don't know who the fuck you are. I'm just fired up, man. I'm sick of these stupid fucking recommendations from neoliberals. Oh, you better vote more Hillary. Holy shit. Show me the last progressive thing that happened in America that didn't happen with a massive protest movement right behind it. I'm waiting. Greetings from South Boston. It's your boy, Lenny. It's your boy, Lenny. Obama. What do you mean? The biggest liberal, failure we've ever seen? Nixon for the millennial era? Drone bomb Obama? The furthest we can get from progressivism if we tried? Obama? The fuck you smoking? Thing that happened without a protest behind that. Obama was a neoliberal corporatist whose agenda more aligned with a centrist Republican, and he admitted this. He said, "Yeah, my policies and beliefs are more in line with a centrist Republican from the 1960s," and he said it with pride because by that time the neoliberal Democrats have completely absorbed the rhetoric of Ronald fucking Reagan. You're more likely to hear praise from Reagan from a Democrat now than you are a Republican. Obama was not progressive. I don't care how many Nobel Peace Prizes he got while dropping drone bombs. That dude is not progressive. Moving on. Pastor shocked pro-Trump congregants dismisses weak Jesus quotes as liberal talking points. So here, what I'm trying to show with things like this is that this is a slow creeping transformation to purge the guilt that they might feel taking control forcibly, right? Because you kind of feel bad. You got to push people out of the way. You got to force your opinions and beliefs on them through law, right? As a theocrat. Right? So you kind of feel bad about it. So what you do is that you brace for these eventualities. People will do this without prompt, right? But it can be encouraged through propaganda, right? But I think this is just kind of a natural thing because people understand that there's a logic problem with supporting Trump and also being evangelical. There's a logic problem there. So they have to come up with what we see here. And you're going to see this. This is amazing. Congregants walking up to their pastors. All that liberal shit you talking about helping and feeding the poor, that sounds woke. I don't believe that. You're like, do you believe in the teachings of Jesus Christ? I believe in Jesus Christ and God. I just don't believe in feeding and helping people. This is kind of happening naturally. I'm not sure how much of it is being encouraged, right? I think some people are encouraging, but I think this is just the natural conclusion of mixing your politics and religion, because of course they're going to be contradictory, right? Politics is often anti-human. And if you truly believe in the teachings of any Western religion, Judaism, Christianity, any of them, help your fellow man, feed and house the sick, right? All this shit. Jesus, Moses, oh, the greatest fucking people ever. How do you have that political ideology that says fuck people, fuck everybody that isn't me? If you're not able to get to the top, then fuck you. Versus the teachings of share everything that you have, be nice to people, feed and house the sick. So this is the logical conclusion to that. And no,
so let's talk about...
We're not going to watch this whole video, by the way.
Russell Moore. For those of you who don't know who this is a...
Big props to the Humanist Report and Mike Figurino. Please like and subscribe. He is basically a communist, though, but that's okay. We won't hold that against him.
Prominent evangelical pastor who was once a higher up at the Southern Baptist Convention, and he's now the editor-in-chief of the magazine Christianity Today, and he's also sounding the alarm about Christianity in America, saying that he believes it's in full-on crisis mode. Now, there's a number of reasons why he believes this is the case. First and foremost, he thought that the Southern Baptist Convention mishandled a sexual abuse crisis. He also says that he's seen an increase in tolerance for white nationalism within the church, and additionally, he says that some congregates, specifically the ones who love Donald Trump, have even...
Should I do the Andrew Tate? What does he do? He does this. Should I do the Andrew Tate? Does that make me look smart to the idiots? Here, okay, I'll do this. We'll see how well this works.
Even criticized the message of Jesus Christ in a way that he believes is very alarming. So as Ross Story explains, in an interview with NPR, Moore said that multiple pastors had told him disturbing stories about their congregates being upset when they read from the famous Sermon on the Mount, in which Christ espoused the principles of forgiveness and mercy as central to Christian doctrine.
Like
quote, multiple pastors tell me essentially the same story about quoting the Sermon on the Mount parenthetically in their preaching, turn the other cheek, and to have someone come up after to say, where did you get those liberal talking points? More revealed. And what was alarming to me is that in most of these scenarios, when the pastor would say, I'm literally quoting Jesus Christ, the response would not be, I apologize. The response would be, yes, but that doesn't work anymore, and that's weak. He adds, when we get to the point where the teachings...
classic conservative thinking, right? Like, if it benefits me, if it backs up my opinions, then I'm all for it and it's great. But the moment it pushes against my preconceived notions in the direction I really want to go in, I can disregard and cherry pick as I please. Conservatives consistently in my lifetime, what I've noticed, conservatives, and neoliberals aren't shy from this either, but consistently with conservatives, there are no principles. Things shift and move all the time. You know, you'll have a conversation with one week, they'll believe one thing. Conversation the next week, they'll believe a different thing. And now I got to give props to my boy Davey, because at the very least, he'll stay somewhat consistent. I can't really think of a time where he wasn't mostly consistent in his horrible views when it comes to some things around women's rights, and guns, things like that. The gun thing isn't as horrible as the women rights opinion, I gotta say. But Davey wants to ban all guns. Homeboy is just like, I'm taking your gun, dude. Knock, knock, knock. Hi, I'm Davey. Give me your guns. That's Davey's plan. Unlike most conservatives, though, you'll have an argument. Oh, I don't believe that. I don't believe that. Then they make a Facebook post. I believe this.
of Jesus himself are seen as subversive to us, then we're in a crisis. In other words, this is another classic case of, well, I never thought that the leopards would eat my face, says person who voted.
That was funny. One more. Let's go ahead and get it.
In a 2021 op-ed for the Washington Post, professor of history Stephen M. Gillen explains Reagan's first-term record was a mixed bag as far as cultural conservatives were concerned. Even so, 4 years into his presidency, Reagan saw an opportunity to use religion to forge a new political realignment in the South. Addressing a crowd of 10,000 religious leaders at an ecumenical prayer breakfast during the 1984 Republican Convention, the president delivered a rousing speech. Reagan willfully blurred the line between church and state. Quote, religion needs defense defenders against those who care only for the interests of the state. The truth is, politics and morality are inseparable, and as morality's foundation is religion, religion and politics are necessarily related. He concluded, if we ever forget that we're one nation under God, then we will be a nation gone under. Not surprisingly, the Republican platform that year reflected the agenda of white evangelicals. It called for a constitutional ban on abortion with no exceptions and the appointment of federal judges who opposed abortion. It's
follow up on that, by the way. We will be watching a speaking of leopards eating their face. Very funny joke. Speaking of leopards eating their face here on abortion, I have some amazing statistics. I had no idea the backlash was going to be this bad. But wait do you see that?
Supported voluntary school prayer, ignored the Equal Rights Amendment, which Republicans had supported in every platform from 1940 to 1976, with only two exceptions, 1964 and 1968, and rejected equal pay for women. Jerry Falwell, founder of the Moral Majority, closed the 1984 Republican Convention by triumphantly calling the incumbent ticket God's instruments in rebuilding America. Now, I want to pause right.
Yeah, so I mean, this shit isn't old, right? This shit isn't old. Rise of Christian fundamentalism. I mean, look, we got to give props to Mike Figurino. He makes some great videos. I don't know if he's editing these himself, but look, coming from the perspective of a creator of a whatever the fuck I am, this amount of editing and production is quite time consuming and expensive, especially if you're paying for it. So I just want to give props to a lefty creator who's making some damn good content. All right, make sure you like and subscribe.
At this time, Gillen continues, the rise of Christian fundamentalism represented a backlash against the cultural liberalism of the 1960s. In the minds of many evangelicals, the federal government and the liberals who staffed it had engineered America's alleged moral decline. They felt traumatized by a string of perceived offenses, the Supreme Court's decisions legalizing abortion and banning school prayer, the gay rights and women's rights movements challenging traditional gender roles, and the Internal Revenue Service's decision to remove the tax-exempt status of private Christian schools. Outraged, these Americans became a major force in politics, leading campaigns against LGBTQ rights, playing a key role in stopping the ERA's ratification, and fighting for a constitutional amendment to ban abortion, offering an upside for the party that could capture their loyalty. So this blend...
It's long-winded, but it's basically they have political grievances. They view the progressivism and any kind of left progress as a direct assault to their identity, right? And let's just cap it off here with no, that's okay. Once again, folks, I want to recommend that you like and subscribe to Mike Figurino. Thank you very much, Mike Figurino at the Humanist Report, for making this amazing lefty content. Check out Means TV if you are a communist and you want to see communist opinions on your TV. There we go. Moving on to the next thing here. Just wanted to, I mean, Matt Gaetz is this man is really dangerous. It's amazing. I mean, he's dodging all these like pedophile human trafficking charges, right? That's one thing. But he's a very aggressive fascist. And one thing that frightens me about Matt Gaetz, he's extremely clever. He's very clever rhetorically. He seems to have kind of a plan. He seems to kind of have like an idea of what direction he wants to go in. I think we should watch out for this Matt Gaetz individual. If he is allowed to stay in power, I think he is going to weasel his way to the top, especially once Mitch McConnell finally kicks the bucket and there's a big, power shift shakeup. I think Matt Gaetz is going to end up closer to the top than we realize. And we might see this guy as a presidential candidate sooner than you think, because let me tell you, this guy's DeSantis with the ability to fucking with like an extra 10 points in charisma, right? Very frightening individual. So Representative Matt Gaetz calls LGBTQ plus people quote unquote degenerate while announcing prayer in schools bill. He says the bill will require teachers to give him time in each class for prayer. So it's obviously a person who wants to turn our democratic country into a theocracy. He literally wants, isn't it hilarious? Conservatives are all like, freedom, freedom, liberty, liberty, and then they want to pass laws that say your kid has to listen to prayers from my book in class, can't leave. I mean, who knows the specifics? Maybe the kids are allowed to leave, but I mean, that's the gist of it. You know, every accusation is a confession for a conservative, right? Oh, stop grooming my kids. Stop grooming my kids, right? Stop grooming my kids. And then every attempt they can, they're passing laws to groom your children, right? Does Matt Gaetz want to check my son's genitals before he goes to the bathroom? Ask yourself. I'm pretty sure he supported bills for that. He does connects with the young too. Yeah, word him up. I think this man is a very dangerous person. Yeah, the Nick Fuentes assholes running around the internet really like Matt Gaetz. So we got another one here from ya boy. Psychological leakage. Bro, that's the name of your band, okay? If you don't have a band, you're now in a band because you can just say I'm in a band and then you're in one. So congratulations, by the way, on your new band. Nitnack, lead singer of Psychological Leakage. I can't wait. I want to buy the album. I groom my dog, not people. Get him. Get him. I pay for groomers for my dog. Matt Gaetz has a plan for blocking Jack Smith's. So this is just amazing. I mean, this is such a flagrant. I mean, because you're talking about, right, Republicans won't shut the fuck up about, activist judges and overreach, right? Politicians and Joe Biden, sending his Justice Department after Trump, right? All this overreach. And what do we see here? Matt Gaetz proudly and effervescently, just like, woo, he can't wait to do this, doing everything he can as a politician to interrupt, stymie, slow down a federal investigation of a criminal. Blatant hypocrisy, but anyone, and like literally, if I wanted to make $1 million, I could just stop right there at the blatant hypocrisy and do a bunch of jokes like Jon Stewart. We need to go further and analyze why they're here, what their agenda is, and how do we stop it. Because just chuckling and laughing at the absurdity is not good enough anymore. Matt Gaetz has a plan for blocking Jack Smith's indictments of Trump. Gaetz believes a select committee should be established to grant Trump immunity from prosecutions for his crimes. I mean, come the fuck. Over here from Truth Out, let's get a little bit of this. Congressman Matt Gaetz, an ardent loyalist to Donald Trump, has suggested a plan to disrupt the dual investigations into the former president led by Department of Justice Special Counsel Jack Smith. Unfortunately for Gaetz, however, the plan requires Trump to refrain from lying during his testimony before a House or panel in Congress. Yeah, I don't know about that one. You're going to have a hard time with that one, homie. I mean, Trump has to find doctors that will let him lie to, Trump will, I'm very healthy. I only drink 1 Diet Coke a week. Marks and recreation. Oh, here we go. Impeachment of Trump. Shouldn't we get at least one investigating Ukraine corruption? That's sure. Would that honestly make you happy if that was happening? Would that really make you happy, or would you just glom on to the next fucking pretend thing that you think that you pretend to fucking care about? Right? Is the Hunter Biden thing over? Are you finally done milking Hunter Biden, and you're finally pretending that we should have a direct investigation of Joe Biden, or is the son of the politician should be our main focus? Well, I can't believe we're giving money to Ukraine when we're not even investigating Hunter Biden. Okay, dog. I'm happy with criminals going to jail. Let's investigate Clinton. Let's investigate Hunter. Let's investigate everybody. Isn't that what the FBI is supposed to be fucking doing? FBI is supposed to be completely independent, completely separate from politics and the Justice Department for some, some separation from the Justice Department, right? But let's be real. Yeah, exactly, Davey. Exactly. I mean, he's literally under investigation. Not good enough. You know what we should do? We should stop funding Ukraine because Hunter Biden's not in jail. All these things make perfect sense, I guess. Gates has presented a number of strategies for how he and other Trump allies could protect the former president as he faces dozens of federal indictment charges. Oh, it's all fake news. Last week, for example, he suggested that Republicans subpoena Smith to appear before the House Judiciary Committee. I want to see this. Do this. Can we do this? Let's do this. Let's get Smith, please. Smith versus Gates. Are you kidding me? I got the popcorn warming up. Noting that if Smith refused to do so, he could be held in criminal contempt of Congress. Last month, he suggested that Congress vote to defund the special counsel's office. Just who cares about all the other investigations, right? The special counsel's office, investigating dozens of other crimes, right? Let's shut the whole thing down. Shut the whole thing down. Limiting additional actions that Smith could take against the former president. Isn't that great? Shut the whole thing down. I don't care. I don't care if criminals get to run innocent. I don't care. Says the Law and Order candidate. Says the candidate that probably runs on Law and Order in his commercials. Gates explained his latest plan this week while discussing Trump's most recent indictments. And this is what I mean. He's proud. He's effervescent. He's smiling through this whole thing. He thinks this is great. He knows he's a hypocrite, and it doesn't matter. He is a direct enemy of democracy. Yeah, Marx. Stop assuming that me and the people in this chat don't want criminals to be prosecuted. Okay? And also, are you trying to, what about? Would it be possible to help Ukraine and also investigate criminals? Is that entirely possible as a third option in your binary thinking? Could you squeeze a third one into that brain, or is it just impossible? I got room for two, buddy. I got room for two thoughts. You're trying to introduce a third? I'm going to go Charlie from Sunny in Philadelphia on you. I can't do three. Gates explained his plan this week while discussing Trump's most recent indictments relating to his attempt to overturn the 2020 presidential election with right-wing radio host Charlie Kirk, well-known fascist. In order to end the investigation and other federal charges from the Mar-a-Lago documents case or any other future charges, the House of Representatives would have to grant Trump whistleblower protection status, Gates says. Afterwards, you can actually bring President Trump in to give testimony to the Congress, and in doing so, immunize him. Wow. I mean, every trick in the book. Let me tell you, folks, that's exactly how fascists work inside a democracy. I'm sorry to bring up Nazi Germany, but that is exactly how the fascists in Nazi Germany took over German democracy. They didn't have a democratic majority. They did this stupid parliamentary trick. It was amazing in the German parliament at the time. So they did get enough. They got like 30% the first time, and all you have to do is just not vote. If you abstain, if you're entire, if you have enough to have some control in the parliament, 30%, and then you abstain, you don't vote, you don't participate, the whole parliament stops, the whole procedure stops, and it triggers a re-election. So they did that at least in the documentary that I watched, 2 or 3 times in a row, and then every subsequent election they got more and more and more. But when they finally took over, they didn't have over 50%. They didn't have a Democratic majority, right? But they had gotten enough power to finish the job, right? I'm just trying to say, one of the fascists' favorite things to do inside a democracy is twist and bend the rules and win on technicalities. And then once they've secured power, it all changes. It all changes. And don't tell me for a motherfucking millisecond that if this orange fascist gets in power, he is not going to immediately start changing things. That will ensure that this never happens again. Democratic elections, all that shit's going out the fucking window, dude. Right? Because he's not gonna be president for another 4 years, and then because if he gets charged, he might have to end his presidency with going into jail. But of course, he'll try to pardon himself. It's a fucking mess, folks. It's a fucking mess. And you know what the result is? This guy who's on death's door is going to blow up democracy right before he dies so that a real tyrant can be installed, so that a real fascist can come in here and really kick it into fucking high gear. That's exactly what Barack Obama did for Trump. All the Bush tax cuts, all that shit that Bush, that Bush did, all the executive overreach and power he did for the war on terror became permanent, became the law of the land because of Obama. And then what did he do? He handed that power, him and his neoliberal party, Hillary, that he was, that's my VP, that's my girl. Right? Even though Obama was kind of like, yeah, she kind of sucks. I don't know, man. I guess I'll do a couple speeches for her. I'm not really enthusiastic about Hillary either. That was really funny during the presidential election. Obama not being enthusiastic about Hillary. But what did they do? They ran Hillary over Bernie or there were several other candidates that could have been better than Hillary. They ran her and handed that power directly to a fascist. It's happening right in front of our fucking eyes, man. Gates noted that House rules require a committee to have... Where is my tunage? Gates noted that House rules require a committee to have a supermajority vote in order to grant someone, quote-unquote, full immunity. I'm dying. News code's going. I'm dying. But he had a plan for that as well. Speaker McCarthy could set up a select committee tomorrow, Gates said, adding that if the committee was made up mostly of Republican lawmakers, they could achieve a supermajority vote. This is what it looks like. Are you asleep? I know, you're fucking asleep, right? Well, wake the fuck up, because this is how democracy is being dismantled. This is how democracy is being dismantled. These little, you're asleep. We're asleep on this shit, right? MSNBC talking about, oh boy, Trump going to jail. I mean, literally, MSNBC is 24/7 Trump going to jail with 15-second interludes of what's happening outside of the Trump trial. That's what MSNBC looks like right now. Trust me, I watch it. I watch it because I hate myself. I watch TYT. I watch all the shit that's free on your smart TV now. TYT, Charlie Kirk, One American News, CNN, MSNBC, CBS, they Bloomberg, they all have free stuff on these smart TV applications. So I go through and watch all that shit because my wife is like, what the hell are you watching? What the fuck are you watching, dude? I'm like watching fucking Charlie Kirk, right? I'm watching Charlie Kirk, right? So here's Matt Gaetz on Charlie Kirk's show. So this is the show I'm talking about, Real America's Voice. They got it's free. It's free on every smart TV. We're talking tens of millions of TVs across America getting Real America's Voice. TYT is on there, though, too. So props to TYT as much as... I know, TYT, I know. We're not even going to get into it. Here's Matt Gaetz on Charlie Kirk's show scheming about ways House Republicans might be able to, quote-unquote, immunize President Trump to get him off the hook for the federal charges he faces. So this is, this is how our democracy dies. It's these little procedural things here and there, and Matt Gaetz thinks he's a fucking genius, dismantling and subverting democracy and justice. So, because this isn't about Trump. This is about Matt Gaetz. Don't get this shit twisted. Matt Gaetz knows full well what's going to happen to Trump in the next 5 to 10 years if he's lucky, right? And then he knows we're going to need someone who's going to take that, fill in that vacuum immediately. And that's what Matt Gaetz is doing. Matt Gaetz is trying to, replace himself. Look, I'm Trump. I'm charismatic, baby. Right? That's what's going on here. This is about Matt Gaetz.
You can actually bring President Trump in to give testimony to the Congress, and in doing so, immunize him. Now, there's different forms of immunity that take place at the committee level.
By the way, imagine AOC going on TYT and saying similar things about Clinton, about Hillary Clinton, if she was under the same kind of shit, right? And you got Clinton up there scheming and planning how to use every procedural trick in the book to, and does Matt Gaetz is not denying that Trump is a criminal, by the way. When's the last time you've seen a Republican or a conservative say that? Right? That, Trump isn't a criminal. Trump didn't do it. They don't say that. They assume he's guilty. And what they're talking about is how they can get him off the hook, regardless of what the actual guilt is.
level, subcommittee level. In some instances, for full immunity, you have to have more of a supermajority vote. But if you had a supermajority vote of a committee, like Speaker McCarthy could set up a select committee tomorrow that could bring Trump in and immunize him. And then we could proceed with the very legitimate investigative work that we're doing of the Bidens and the corrupt DOJ.
Isn't that great? Isn't that great? Well, we could get Trump off the hook, and then we could start making up shit on Biden. I mean, it's...
Unfortunately, none of
this is not justice.
Things are happening. Instead, Congress is not in Washington, not assembled. And I think the timing is on purpose. No timing in D.C. is ever just, a mere coincidence. And so right as Congress is leaving...
He's not exactly wrong here. I mean, we've basically, seen Jack Smith do this. It seems like there's been leaks or some assumption that Jack Smith is trying to do this before... before the start of when the presidential season gets started. I can't remember the specific event, Super Tuesday or something, but he wants to do it before the end of the primary season. He's trying to get this done. Welcome back, ROB.
Town, right as we're walking away from our equities, you see this acceleration of activity against Trump.
So yeah, let's be specific here.
Marks and Recreation, you annoy the shit out of me, so maybe you can say something that will allow me to ban you. Let me ask you a question. Do you agree with Matt Gaetz that it's okay? Would you agree with this if you saw this happen, if you saw Matt Gaetz bring him in and then immunize Trump from all these investigations? Would you agree with that? Would you think that's a good thing? Please say yes. Please say yes, Marks. I'd really love to ban you. Go ahead and say yes. That you think this would be a good thing for Matt Gaetz to immunize Trump from prosecution, and then shift focus to the Bidens. Hey, it's fine. Investigate Biden. I don't see why we can't do both. I don't understand. There seems to be a lot of people in this, in these various departments. We seem to have the capabilities of doing both. Marks, I notice you're quite quiet here, bud. I'd really like a response. I think it was par for course. Okay, so I noticed you didn't answer my question. I'm going to give you one more opportunity to do so before I throw you out the fucking door. Do you agree with Matt Gaetz? If this happened, if Matt Gaetz did this and sanitized Trump from prosecution by this stupid chicanery, would you agree with that? Would you think that was a good thing? Please say yes.
Here, though, so immunize him from what crimes, even if he's under current indictment? Is that including even the obstruction claims? And give us some examples of how this has been used recently.
Well, it hasn't been used recently, but obviously we're aware of the ability for any person to plead the fifth. You can dissolve someone's ability to plead the fifth if you immunize.
Wow, what cowardly silence we're getting from Marks and Recreation. I think I'm just going to ban him if he's silent for another minute.
And so Congress has this ability that's been recognized. It's even laid out in 18 U.S.C.A. 6002 and 600.
I don't think it is good. So, okay, so you would disagree. You would not approve of Matt Gaetz immunizing Trump from legitimate investigations for his legitimate crimes. Do you agree that it's technically possible to investigate Joe Biden while also going after Trump and indicting Trump? And, do you think, like, the Justice Department has only enough resources for one individual at one time, like it's a serial one after the other? Or do you acknowledge that it is actually possible to go after Biden, go after Hunter Biden, because they are going after Hunter Biden at the same time as what's happening with Trump? Isn't that possible? They can kind of do both, right? Why do we have to what about this? Reno? Why is that knee-jerk what about reaction coming from you? I feel like we could do both, because we are doing both. Investigate Joe Biden. Yeah, I'd love to. Ain't nobody buying Hunter Biden's patents for $200,000 because he's a fucking savant artist. Are you fucking joking? He's the goddamn son of the president. That's why I gave him $250,000 so I can get some friendly, hey, this jackass bought my painting. Thanks, Dad. Oh. So, yeah, there's a quid pro quo there. Let's go ahead and investigate it. What the fuck are we waiting for? Moving on. You know what I mean? Like, what is this what about? Like, you see a legitimate investigation of a fucking criminal, and you start what abouting. Oh yeah, well, Trump may be guilty. I don't know, but what about Joe Biden? What about this? What about Hillary? What about Hunter? What about these nuts? How come we can't do both?
5, if folks want to look it up. But
Panda Man wants, so you have all the Panda Man, you have all the ability in the world to look up every, right-wing source, but you just can't find the time or ability to type into Google, Jordan Peterson criticism. You're a fucking moron.
There, you've got the ability to say, well, we're hereby compelling your testimony. We're giving you immunity for anything you say to us and anything that would lead to. And so, for example, if President Trump came in and said, I'm here to give you testimony about...
Fuck this piece of shit. I don't want to see him on my screen another goddamn second. I can't take it. The plan, as expected by Gates, would require the House to establish a select committee. McCarthy cannot do so on his own. He needs a majority vote in the House, which would require nearly every Republican in the chamber to cooperate with the scheme, no problem, given the GOP's extremely narrow majority. The plan would also likely be challenged in courts by the DOJ. Who cares? This is a big race to the presidency, right? I think Trump is okay with compounding charges because that delays things. The plan would also likely be challenged in courts by the DOJ, which may argue against the legality of granting Trump immunity in a way that is so transparently corrupt. Gates admitted that the scheme will require Trump to actually testify before the theoretical select committee. Oh, that'd be funny. And that new problems could arise from him doing so, such as Trump, a well-documented liar, purging himself. Oh yeah, he would do it immediately. The downside of bringing anyone before Congress to give testimony is that you have to say something that is material and that is not accurate. That can create a cascade of follow-on charges, Gates said. So it's never something that you typically think of as a first step. And here's Gates just fully admitting Trump is incapable of not telling lies. Right? Like, our guy is a serial liar. Right? All right, so we got one more here. Michael Flynn is an extremely dangerous man. An extremely dangerous man. If we had a violent civil war, type situation where the right wing, say the right wing did a January 6th and then succeeded, we would see this individual, Michael Flynn, be put in charge of some kind of, military, kind of enforcement agency of some sort. He would very quickly be put in charge because he's an ex-general. He would be put in charge of some kind of, police force, to enforce this new regime. I mean, let's not get too insane here, right? I mean, the fact is that these Republicans, they're not fucking Hitler, okay? They're not exactly coordinated, smart, driven, right? They're very corrupt. They're very interested in their own empire, their own pocket, right? If there's one thing we can depend on Matt Gaetz putting before anything, it's his own, bank account. And that's what we see with a lot of these Republicans, their own failures, their own inefficiencies, causing them to not achieve their own goals. I mean, that was all 4 years of Trump's administration. His own incompetence was his own worst enemy. He had all kinds of plans. He wanted to do this. He wanted to do that. He didn't have a fucking plan. He couldn't. He'd have one idea one week and a completely different idea and something else the next. You literally, all you needed to do was just not bring it up again if you wanted Trump to drop something. Because all it would take is a couple days and he'd be ranting about something else that he saw on CNN at 6 o'clock in the morning. All right. Thank you, Marks and Recreation. We're just going to go ahead. We are just going to go ahead and give you a nice long nap. You've annoyed me enough. Let's go ahead and give that 55 minutes because I can't drive 55. You know what I mean? So anyway, Michael Flynn is a very dangerous individual, and we should treat him as such. We should understand that this man, if there was ever a civil war, this man would be right on the front line, man. Let me tell you, very dangerous individual. So let's just go ahead. Let me show you why. This is 60 seconds of Michael Flynn. You tell me if this guy is a fascist.
Our Constitution Constitution, if you read our Constitution, and you should, in fact, you should put the Bible aside and read the Constitution during some of your sermons. Just read pieces of it. Why? Why? Because if you study our Constitution, I mean study it. You study the Federalist Papers. You study the writings of our founders. Writings as deep as reading the letters from our founding fathers to their wives or to their children. They're fascinating. And the United States Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Independence are based primarily on the Bible.
Factually and demonstrably untrue. That's the word of the day, demonstrably. 100% not true. Not true. A complete rewriting of history. If Ben Franklin was sitting in this audience, he would stand up and slap this man. If John Adams was in this audience, he would stand up and attack this man. This kind of radical and dangerous revisionism is perfectly in line with fascistic thought. You could say, if you wanted to be pedantic, you could be specific and say this is more theocratic than it is fascistic, but kind of hard to tell the difference sometimes. What he just said is 100%, I mean, without doubt, without question, 100% inaccurate. Listen to the crowd.
They are. I mean, they are. There's no doubt about it.
No, but they need it to be. They need it to be, right? Because how do you, because they're, the Constitution and American iconography is mixed into, is this toxic mix, right? So they need to accept and like pay fealty to the Constitution while also subverting it, destroying it, and ignoring it, right? So what do? You redefine what the Constitution means, right? You say, well, it's a biblical document. So if the Constitution is a biblical document, then obviously the Bible is really just the law of the land, right? If our forming document, the Constitution, was basically created off the Bible, well. So anyway, there you go, folks. That is my fascist right-wing update. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you had a good time. We're going to jump into our U.S. news. More Flumpy-Tumpy. Everyone loves him. He's just a lovable guy. Thank you so much. Make sure you like and subscribe. Thank you so much to the 2 people that left and the 0 people that have subscribed, keeping my subscriber count at a solid 113 for several weeks straight. I don't want to encourage people, but if you could like and subscribe to my fucking YouTube channel, that would be great. Thank you so much. Bye.